iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight we have race number 7 here at Hotlanta. It is Atlanta Motor Speedway, Atlanta Super Speedway if people want to call it now, with the repave. We'll see some high intensity racing, some pack racing here tonight as these drivers get ready to do battle on this 2-mile speedway. Of course, with the repave, you know, got the fresh green walls. I don't know how to feel about those, but tonight we'll be also talking with the driver of the Blue Deuce, that of course being John DeMeester. We'll get a word with him in just a second, but just to give you guys a recap from previous season, during the previous season, let's say during this one, we had first-time winner Brian Wilderson win last week. We'll see who can be the first repeat winner, as we've had 6 races completed and we've had 6 different winners. So we will see tonight if we can make it 7 different winners for 7 races. And of course, those drivers going to be locked in with a win. Next week we'll have it all color coordinated to let you guys at home easily tell who is locked in. We currently have 22 cars on the premise here tonight, and it should be an action-packed night of racing, as we have qualifying starting here in right around 7 minutes. But now, with some time, we're going to talk to the driver. That is, of course, of the number 2 machine. That is going to be John DeMeester. Here in just 1 second. Of course, tonight we are at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to go over some track facts, give you guys little race information. Of course, this track getting the repave, so now a little bit more banking. These cars have a lot of grip, but we'll see them actually lifting in the corners as well. It's actually, sorry, this is a 1.5 mile speedway. We of course got to thank all the viewers out here tuning into the Turn 3 Racing Network, and of course the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series making this action. Of course, all the drivers out here putting on the show for all of us to watch. Looks like it's a hot summer night down here in Georgia, 85 degrees, 8-mile-per-hour wind, so a good amount of wind. And of course, if you want to check out more information, be sure to check them out at AmericanSimRacingClub.com. With it being a super speedway race, you know, it could be anyone's race by the end of the night. That is because with this, you know, it brings into a lot of question about what people can do and, we'll see some different winners. But I believe we have the 2 machine of John DeMeester dialed on up here. We're going to get a word with the driver now of the Blue Deuce. That, of course, John DeMeester. John, you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, am I supposed to be where I'm at, Brett?
Yeah, you are. You're in the right place, John. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well.
Glad to have you out here. And, coming into this current, let's say, season of races with all the different series currently live, you actually have the most starts of anyone in the league. You currently have 114 starts, John. So we got to give, of course, that a huge shout out, giving you the Iron Man award. I mean, we got to appreciate all the time you commit to this league, and 114 starts leading the way. That's awesome.
Well, it's fun. That's all I can say. It's fun. Great group to race with, and just well run, and it's just fun.
Yeah, that it is, John. You said it best. A great group of guys, a lot of diverse talent. I want to say here. A lot of different racing styles. Some very fast guys in qualifying. Then you got some guys that are really good at race pace. And I think, John, I've seen you come a long way in the sim world. Let's say when we first met your way back, what is it now, almost 2 years ago, and you definitely improved. And I mean, could you tell the fans, what's been some big improvements for you and what you kind of learned?
It's just for me, it's been patience and just running where I know I can be comfortable, and then you get to where you push it a little further, and everyone benefits from that. And then I've been running a lot of AI races as well. And I'm finding for me, running those AI races, like I ran some earlier today, getting ready for tonight, that helps me a lot.
Yeah, that AI racing, has come a long way. At first, it was a little iffy, especially on the oval side. But man, those guys, you can dial it into whatever strength you want. And I tell you what, they put on some pretty good racing. Did you do a little AI racing to prepare for Hotlanta tonight?
I did, and I always have it set so that I'm kind of the back of the field, because that's kind of usually where I am in the league races. So it actually is a pretty realistic situation.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, and that's the key. Setting those difficulties just right to where you can kind of learn as well as practice. Because I always like to say, you can go out there and practice. That definitely helps, but the best practice is, of course, race practice.
Yeah, especially with the super speedways like this, the Daytonas, the Talladegas, the Atlanta. It just helps to be running that close to somebody. And if you make a mistake, hey, it was an AI car.
Exactly. No harm, no foul. But John, we'll throw up on screen some of your hobby stuff. I see you got a nice Mustang there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that bad boy?
Well, that kind of harkens back to the 1970 Mach 1 that I had back in 1978. Bought it for $500 off my dad's used car lot, fixed it up, sold it for $1,300.
Oh man, I bet you could wish to have that back. That I bet was a sweet car.
That was one I'd like to have back. So I had to have the 05. It's an 08, and I had to have the 05 to 09 so it could be as close to a 70 as possible. And that does have it. Can't see the back end, but it does have 70 taillights in it, 70 spoiler louvers. Those are 70 sport lamps in the grill, shaker hood that's functional. So as many 70 cues as I could cram onto it.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. That is a sweet looking ride. I really like the red pinstriping around. That's an awesome touch. Also on screen, we got some RC cars, John. I know you're big time involved with that in the West Michigan area.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I raced with Rivertown Racers. It was the RC club in the West Michigan area back in the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s. Oh, there I go, giving away my age. Then, yeah, I opened up my own track in 2006 and operated that till 2019. We had dirt tracks, carpet tracks. So, yeah, for a good 14 years, we survived a lot of tracks that came and went during that time.
Yeah, I bet so, John. And Anything you learn on the RC track that helps out on iRacing, I bet the at least the reaction time probably comes into play.
Again, it's, I race the iRacing the same way that I always did my RC racing. I take what I can get. I take what I know is there. If somebody comes up behind me and I know they're faster, I'm going to let them go. If I catch them later and get around them, great. But I'm not going to, that's just kind of the way I've always raced my RC racing and my R racing. And I hope everybody benefits from that.
Yeah, that was a lesson my dad taught me way back in the day, is manage your expectations. And, some racers, a lot of racers, I should say, aren't good at that, especially on iRacing. They go out, set quick time, think they're the it factor. And it's like, nah, you got to go out there, manage your stuff, run your race, and then let it come to you. And John, you're kind of the golden child of that, I want to say, of ASRC, especially with those 114 starts.
Well, and I got to mention, you mentioned your dad, and he and I just have a fantastic time when it's the two of us out there racing. And so definitely say hi to him. And I miss it when he's not on the track with me.
Yeah, he's a little tied up with the real life racing right now during the summer, but he'll definitely be back for the winter. So, John, before we let you go, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and, give a shout out to anyone tuning on in, anyone you want to thank for this Blue Deuce that's always so sweet out there on track.
Well, I'm just kind of a privateer out here running on my own, but I do appreciate, like I say, the league and all the admins and everything they do. And then I'll give one last shout out, Rusty Wallace going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, that is awesome. He's, of course, also named one of the 75 greatest drivers. So, John, good luck here in qualifying. Best of luck in the race. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you, as you did pick up a win way back in our preseason racing way back at Auto Club. So hopefully we'll see that Blue Deuce sometime in Victory Lane.
Yep, fuel mileage race. That's what I need.
Exactly. Best of luck to you, John.
Thanks, Brett.
Alrighty, folks, that will do it. That was the Blue Deuce, John DeMeester, out here getting ready to roll off in qualifying, as he's always a great time to chat. If any of you in the league get some extra time, he's got a lot of knowledge, as he kind of alluded to, up there in age, and he gives those guys that are up there in age a lot of hope on iRacing. If they can't quite do it in the real life, they can still hop into the sim and still have a lot of fun, as we get the Blue Deuce of John DeMeester rolling up to speed on the backstretch. We're going to go check him out here in qualifying and see what he can do, as we get some times on the left side of our screen. Looks like right now Devin McDonald, quick time, now dethroned by Hayden Swank. But at the start-finish line, John DeMeester is on the clock. John, of course, always having a great attitude when it comes to these races, always smiles and whatnot. And I tell you what, you can't beat the attitude. It's these guys, that come in, week out, that show on up, have a great time with us, that really sim racing, especially the league side of things, are all about. As off of turn number 4, the 2 machine will come. He will clock in his first time lap. John DeMeester will throw down a 32.06. So going to look for a little bit more speed here on lap number 2. As right now, Brian Wilderson, Ron Hart tied at the top of the timing scoring. Looks like Wilderson, last week's winner, will get the slight edge, beat him by 0.02 of a second at the moment. Through 3 and 4, the Blue Deuce will come for the final time. Like John DeMeester said, Rusty Wallace coming into the Hall of Fame, one of the 75 greatest drivers from NASCAR, and John DeMeester will finish with a 31.60. So John DeMeester gonna be starting towards the back of this field, but he's just gonna have to ride around, keep his nose clean. He's good at doing that, and he'll see what he has by the end of the night. Another car rolling out on the speedway, one of our previous spotlight drivers. It's the 82 machine of Zach Rush. John DeMeester, we didn't get a chance to mention, but I'll mention it now. One of the many drivers here in the series that is running on the virtual reality headset. Zach Rush, another one of those drivers running that VR. And I can't quite remember it off the top of my head, but Zach Rush actually streams his races from his point of view to Twitch. So that's another cool thing. Some drivers doing that. I believe we might have a special in-car here tonight. If it works out, it looks like it is there. And it looks like Tim Rogers does have his camera on, so we'll get some extra in-cars. The 82 machine of Zach Rush, of course, on his first time lap here in qualifying. It's going to be very close to get 2 laps in, as he'll cross the line with about 30 seconds left in qualifying. And as you can see, folks, it takes 31 seconds to get around the speedway. So Zach Rush going to be very, very close here on the time here from lap number 2. Rush right now at the bottom of the scoring. Through 3 and 4, Zach Rush will come for the final time. We'll see if he can get there in time to the start finish line. Off at turn number 4, and oh man, it doesn't get much closer than that, folks. He just misses it, I want to say by, less than a second, as that will do it now for qualifying, as Brian Wilderson, last week's winner, picks up right where he left off and picks up quick time here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Now we'll run through tonight's starting order. Starting at the back in the 23rd position is Kyle Leisure in the 41 Rays Energy machine. Starting in 22nd is the 111 machine of Clay Atwin. 21st now we go to, and it's the 04, it's the other Raz machine. It is Danny Venezuela in the 04. Kyle Munson in the 8 Horizon machine will start 20th. Then we head over to the 18th position. Zach Rush in the 82 machine will be starting there. Starting to his inside in the 17th position is John DeMeester, our spotlight driver here tonight. Will start deep in tonight's field. We head up now to row number 8. In the 16th position is the Heatwave 00 machine of Deontay Hearer. Now 15th will be the 05 machine of Eric Lake. Starting in the 14th position, it's his first race here tonight. He starts right next to his relative. They both got the same last names. Starting in 14th is Jason Henderson. Henson. Starting in the 13th position is the 118 machine of Trent Henson. Now we go up to row number 6, and it's a hot lap hero row lockout. Dane Lloyd in the 9 machine will start 12th. What's starting to his inside in the 11th position is the 5 machine of Darrell Larson. Now we head to our top 10, and starting in 10th is the 08 team machine of Justin Henderson. 9th is Dave Payne in the 38. Cade Gailey in the 27 will start 8th. 7th going to Devin McDonald in the 18. 6th is Tim Rogers in the 48. 5th going to Hayden Swank in the 35. Brandon Marlowe in the 37 Hot Lap Heroes machine will start 4th. 3rd going to Tanner Tallarico in the number 1 Boardwalk Sub machine. Then we head to the front row. Ron the Hitman Hart starting outside pole in the 51 with Brian Wilderson, last week's winner, starting on pole, leading the field here to green. That is our starting order, starting from the back, going to the front, folks, as we now get the cars rolling up to pace speed here and getting ready to do battle here for 80 laps at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We got the field rolling down the backstretch here, and as you can see, a nice solid field. A lot of similar paint schemes, but a few new ones, like that 00 machine of Deontay Hearer coming out with the chrome black machine, and that thing looks very sporty. He's hoping that will bring him some luck here tonight at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Up front, the lights are on the pace car, so we will be getting the 1 to go signal at the start finish line, but we'll do everyone's favor. It's a short track thing, but we'll bring it to the NASCAR side. It's the wave lap for the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series here at Atlanta for race number 7. So get up on your feet, give your favorite drivers a wave, because next time by, these guys will be on the loud pedal and going green flag racing for 80 laps here tonight. As we get everything sorted on our end, I believe we're ready to rock and roll here at Atlanta. Like we said, folks, 22 cars here. Let us know if you can leave a chat in the YouTube chat lands. What's our over under? What's our caution guess here tonight at Atlanta as this track becomes very tricky? The right rear actually starts wearing on these cars very quickly, especially in the draft, so we'll have to see how that shakes on out. I'm going with a caution counter of 4, with the last one being a green-white checkered. Let me know what you guys think as we get ready now to head to green flag racing as the field heads through turns number 3 and 4. The iRacing pace car now about to make the hard left-hand turn down pit road. I believe that's being piloted by Dave in the Cave from the Turn 3 Racing Network. And off the racing surface, the pace car goes. Brian Wilderson pacing the field here to green flag. He will get in the Geico restart zone and jump on the loud pedal here. We go green flag racing for race number 7 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Right now it's a drag race. Both cars dead even in the lanes. Wilderson leading the low lane, Hart leading the top side. As Brandon Marlowe trying to get up to the back bumper of the 51 machine to give him a shot. These cars, course, moving down these straightaways here tonight as Ron Hart does jump down to that inside line. So Ron Hart leads the inside line. Now that leaves Brandon Marlowe up top with Tim Rogers trying to get him to give a push. Dave Payne will jump to the top side here as we complete lap number 1. The lap led going to the 51 machine of Ron Hart. We already got some guys hanging on back towards the back. That being our spotlight driver, John DeMeester and Deontay here, both of them saying, hey, I know there's a yellow coming up at some point. We're just going to get ready for it. We're going to hang back just in case when it does happen. As we go back up to the front here, Ron Hart leading the way. Brian Wilderson right on his back bumper. Now Brian Wilderson slingshots on by. He'll go to the low side. That'll move Ron Hart back up to the top. Ron Hart getting a little bit more help from Marlowe down the backstretch. Taryn Tallarico having to close on up to the back bumper of the 951 machine. That will allow Hart to get back to that inside line. As you guys can tell, there's kind of a gap here, or kind of an air bubble, let's say, that's about a half a car width between these cars, that it takes some energy to, get past and get to the guy's back bumper, as you can see in the corners. Like right now between the 51 and the 951, that's kind of the bubble area. And then you almost have to get a push from behind to break the bubble and then get to the guy's back bumper. And that's when you get a lot of speed in these cars. But that can also be a little sketchy, especially as these tires continue to wear throughout this race. Ron Hart currently leading all 5 laps so far of the 80 here at Atlanta. Now Brandon Marlowe with the run on the top side. Maybe this top side's where you want to be, as Marlowe now has about a car length advantage over Ron Hart. Now Tim Rogers also gets clear. Marlowe will jump down to the inside as Tim Rogers stays up on the top side, has his teammate and rival behind him of Dave Payne. These two going to work together a lot here tonight, if I had to guess right. We get our first 3-wide action of the night. Brian Wilderson getting shuffled in the middle. Dan Lloyd making contact, I believe, with the right side of Ron Hart. That was almost an incident as we get some drivers pull and shoot down the backstretch. That's a 51, 1, and 35 saying, hey, it's getting a little too dicey up here in front. We want to drop to the back to join Trent Henson, John DeMeester. As it looks like Deontay here jumping on the loud pedal here a little bit. He's currently in the pack right now as we go back up front. Really, the only side-by-side racing action right now is for the race lead. I guess besides at the back of the pack. As we kind of get two packs forming, you know, we got these first 7 cars right here. Last car in this group is Eric Lake. Eric Lake, a great dirt driver in the Michigan area. He pilots the X5 Scooby-Doo Racing Street Stock, and he's got a lot of wins under his belt. He comes to the pavement side to join some of these dirt guys cutting their teeth in the next gen car. As he brings up this first pack, then the second pack being led by the number 5 of Darrell Larson. He has Cade Gailey in the bright number 27 machine. You can't miss that out on track. This brings up our second pack at the moment, with these guys kind of more riding on around than anything. But up front, Tim Rogers has the run up top. He's challenging Marlowe for the race lead. As like I said, folks, we have some in-car video here, and I believe it's the driver of the number 48 machine now getting hustled outside of the top lane. That's of course being Tim Rogers. As we now jump on board, see what the driver of the 48 machine, he's got his glasses on. He's trying to be calm, cool, and collected as he gets shuffled on back in this top lane. Tim Rogers looking very sporty. He's got the skull cap on tonight. He's in the zone here at Atlanta as he goes to the top side once again. He's trying to hook up with the 951 of Brian Wildison. As that is riding on board with Tim Rogers there. Tim, nice, cool, calm, and collected at the moment, but that's going to change a lot throughout this race as Danny Venezuela Sr. out here leading the field. He is up 20 positions from where he took the green flag all the way back in, I believe, 21st. Now leading the way here. He said, you know where the safest spot to be in a super speedway racing? Out front. And that's exactly where he went. Danny Venezuela picks up his first lap lead here of the American Sim Racing Club. We now look a little bit further back at this second pack here on the speedway. Looks like now being led by the 18 Interstate machine of Devin McDonald. Cade Gailey, Kyle Munson, and Zach Rush all in that inside lane. Just trying to click laps on down here. As we look to the next group, that being Ron Hart, Hayden Swank, Tanner Tallarico. Looks like Clay Atwood and the 018 machine of Justin Henson out here in this group, just trying to, they're also trying to just complete laps. We got 2 cars that have sadly lost the draft, that being the 118 machine of Trent Henson and our spotlight driver, John DeMeester, out here currently running in the 22nd position. As we get a yellow flag on the speedway, I believe the 5 car is slow on the speedway. Not sure what happened to him. We see 1 car in the wall. That's a 110 machine, as that looks like some pretty hard hits as the first yellow flag falls here of the night. As we try and take a look here and see what happened between the 5 and the 110. It looks like, just mistimed the real estate off of turn number 4, the 110 trying to wash up, get a little bit more of the track. The 5 machine of Darrell Larson just trying to get some side draft, maybe fall back in line, and just mistimed it, and some pretty hard contact to the left side of the 118. He goes left sides into the outside wall. We're going to ride on board now. Look at a different camera angle, and it looks like the 5 car, Darrell Larson, maybe moved a little bit more than the 110, and the 110 having a hard hit head on into that outside safer barrier. Luckily, this track, of course, has safer barriers all around it with these high speeds here tonight, as that car heavily damaged here tonight, and we find him down on pit road. Speaking about pit road, we got some takers down pit road. It looks like everyone but Dave Payton coming down to get some fuel and some Goodyear tires. As we take a look here at the end of pit road, see how the race off of pit road goes. So with that shot, we see Venezuela, Wilderson, and Eric Blake, the first three cars off of pit road as they get up to speed. But like I said, folks, the only car not down pit road is the 38 Pinkerton machine of Dave Payne. It's a lonely spot out there at the track right now for him, as the guys on pit road do start to catch him here. But we gotta wonder how that handling will affect that 38 machine, as everyone has 4 fresh Goodyear tires behind them, except for, looks like Deontay Heuer only taking 2 tires that stop. So we'll have to see how that shakes out for the 00. But Dave Payne, only car not down pit road. Yeah, I wonder about the handling on that thing, as it looks like Venezuela does come back down to top on off. He's trying to get as much fuel in that 04 machine as possible. Up front, the lights do get extinguished on the iRacing pace car. We will get the field re-racked, restacked, and get ready to go back green flag racing action. Dave Payne going to be the car leading us to green. Brian Wilderson once again back on the front row, now in P number 2. Eric Lake up 12 positions. And the 43 STP machine, he's up to 3rd. Brandon Marlowe qualified 4th, restarting in 4th. And Deontay here, we saw him drop back early. He takes a little bit of gamble, does right sides only. He'll restart in the 5th position. As that is the storylines here so far from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Looks like Darrell Larson and Jason Henson both out of tonight's race. Both of them still on pit road, so we're going to have to see what other events will unfold tonight, as yellow number 1, only a 2-car incident. Some hungry drivers up front. I know it's early in the race here, but 4 out of the top 5 have not won yet this season. As the iRacing pace car heads down pit road, Dave Payne jumps on the loud pedal here. He goes through the sequential gearbox. We are back green flag racing action as Payne gets away with a great start. Wilderson's going to try and shut the door on Eric Lake. Not quite. He says his outside's formed up a lot better than his inside. I'm going to stay to this top side, get a massive run down the backstretch, thanks to that 37 machine of Brandon Marlowe. Marlowe and Wilderson, almost everyone in the top side is clear that inside line. Who of the cars are going to jump down low? It looks like none of them at the moment, unless they do a slow roll. Marlowe will be the first. Just get to the inside of Wilderson. That will hang Wilderson out to dry, but not for long, as Deb McDonald goes right to the back bumper of the 951. Now McDonald goes for the race lead. He'll shoot down to the inside of the 951. They'll side draft down the backstretch. Now McDonald has some help from Brandon Marlowe. And I tell you what, folks, if you get that white, green 37 machine behind you, that's a good sign that your race might be well. As Brandon Marlowe, I would say one of the best pushers so far we've seen in this race. I think he might be a guy that drivers want to work with by the end of the night. So we have McDonald leading the inside line, Wilderson up top. And further on back, we get some cars in some packs here. Looks like these guys already breaking off from that lead pack. Know that at least one more yellow is coming, so they're gonna run their own race. Just make sure they have the car underneath them by the end of it. As it looks like one car having some major issues. That is Tim Rogers. Looks like he is out of tonight's race, so not sure what happened to Rogers, as that is a tough break for him. Luckily, he does have a win under his belt, so he is locked into the playoffs. But up front, Brian Wilderson leading this top side, now being pushed by Hayden Swank. These guys got about 2 car length advantage over the rest of the field. These guys working very well together here at the moment. Now Cade Gailey in that bright red fire truck red, almost 27 machine. That thing, like I said, folks, stands out on track. He needs some sponsorships, but that car looking strong. He finds himself in the top 5 for the first time tonight. 1 car in the wall. That's 82 machine of Zach Rush. He keeps it up out of everyone's way, so we stay green here on lap number 24 of the scheduled 80. As you can see, folks, Zach Rush, I want to say, was right around the 8th position, falls all the way back to the 14th position with just that slight contact to the outside wall. Up front, Brian Wilderson leading the lines now has Hayden Swank and Brandon Marlowe with Dave Payne in tow. These top 4 trying to break on away, but Eric Lake sits in the middle of that, trying to bring along Deontay Hurt and Cade Gailey. So me cracking out my calculator here on the side, folks, we are a quarter of the way done with tonight's race already. We are 25 laps in of the 80, so these laps clicking on by in a hurry like we saw in qualifying. Above 30-second lap times now with the draft. We are mostly on sub 30-second laps, as most of the field is right around the 29.9 mark, so these laps are going to be flying on by. Last time by, fastest lap out on track was just done by the 04 machine of Venezuela. He's looking very sporty tonight. Had the drafters contact right in front of him. Devin McDonald and Dane Lloyd make contact down the backstretch. That sends the 9 machine around, and some heavy contact to the right front of the 18 machine. You saw his fender falling on off. Now the left front also broke as that thing comes to a stop in the grass. That is some heavy contact that we saw live as we take a look now at the replay here down the backstretch. Looks like Lloyd moves up a little, trying to follow the 27 machine, not realizing Devin McDonald is that close to him, and some hard contact for these 2 cars as McDonald getting that right front fender almost ripped off that race car. You see the left front already broke on that car, and McDonald has no control of this car. Luckily, everyone doing some great wreck avoidance. I mean, John DeMeester having to get out of the way. You see the fender finally come off that car, and once it hits the grass, folks, this car already out of control, now extra out of control, as that thing just drives wherever it is thinks it wants to. As we take a look one more time at this yellow flag, we'll try and get maybe the blimp view here and see who moved more. And that's tough, because especially these speeds, 200 miles per hour, and we're looking at this at half speed, folks. That it is tough to maneuver a car at these kinds of speeds, and then being that close to each other and this early in the race, I don't really see the benefit, as we get a handful of cars coming down pit road to take some new tires and top off on fuel. With this break, we're going to throw to our commercial break to our Wednesday night series that is currently in full swing, and yours truly, Brett the Jet, out there on the speedway. It's been some awesome racing. If you get a chance, rewatch that Hickory race. We had 2 photo finishes with the street stocks out of short track, and maybe, I'll give you a little bit of spoiler, we maybe sneak a win out by the end of the night. So you want to definitely check those out. But here we go to the Scrambler promo. Alrighty, folks, we come back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway for race number 7 of the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. The lights are extinguished out around the speedway here, and we're getting ready to go back. Green flag racing action. Brian Wilderson once again on the front row of another restart. He'll lead us to green with Hayden Swank up top in the 35 machine, leading that outside lane. When we go back to green flag racing action, we will be on lap 30 of the 80, so closing on in with the halfway point. As off of turn number 4, the field will come. iRacing pace car makes its way down on pit road, and Brian Wilderson jumps on the loud pedal here in the Geico restart zone. We go back green flag racing action here at Atlanta. The top 3 really spread out from the field. The rest of the field just trying to get themselves sorted on out. Looks like everyone's ready to ride on around here at the moment. Just trying to click some laps on in as Brian Wilderson out with a big lead at the moment. He'll jump up to the top side, give Hayden Swank a little bit of the draft. Now go right back to the bottom here in turns number 3 and 4. With everyone bunched up here at a moment, we're going to do the classic, everyone's favorite. It's some turn 3, turn it up. Turn up those speakers, folks, and let the cars do the talking. As you guys can see, folks, these cars absolutely roaring around the speedway here in Atlanta. These cars flying around as we jump on board with Dave Payne, currently pushing Hayden Swank in this top lane, and we get a view of just how fast these speeds are and how much these cars are moving here with 200 miles an hour. Dave Payne, of course, repping the helmet cam here tonight. You can see the cars in his rear view mirror. That is Cade Gailey back there in that bright red 27 machine. He has a leader in his sights there. Leading this top lane, Brian Wilderson with Hayden Swank right there in tow. We now jump on board with our race leader, looking back at this first pack here. That, of course, being led by Brian Wilderson. Hayden Swank. Now Dave Payne jumps to this inside line. What lane does Wilderson go in block? Looks like he was thinking about that inside lane, waiting for them to get up close. He's going to stick with Hayden Swank up top as that inside lane checks on up as Marlowe doesn't get right to the back bumper of Payne as quickly as he hoped, as now they'll slot on down to that inside lane here. Wilderson, of course, leading the pack now as this first pack single files out here at the moment as they approach halfway here. Then we look back to our second pack, that being led by Ron Hart with Eric Lake in tow. Then we got the rest of the boys kind of the only double file at the moment, but I don't think that'll be for much longer. As probably Kyle Munson will try and get around Zach Rush, but doesn't have any draft help from in front nor behind. So these guys might be side by side here for a little bit. as we have 4 cars currently out of the race. That is the 18 machine of Devin McDonald, the 5 of Darrell Larson, the 48 of Tim Rogers, and the 110 machine of Jason Henson, all out of this race here before the halfway mark. Speaking about that halfway mark, folks, that is in a lap and a half here, so these guys closing on in to the second half of this race here. As one car in the top 5 for the first time tonight, that is the 111 machine of Clay Atwood. Clay had himself what we thought was going to be a great night at the Auto Club Speedway. He sadly got some damage and I believe involved in a yellow and didn't get the night he hoped for. Tonight he's hoping to turn that on around. He currently finds himself in the 4th position. As up front, Brian Wilderson this time by. We'll see the cross flags here for race number 7. Halfway down, halfway home. As it looks like everyone very content to ride on around here at the moment. Just click off the laps, and that's what they're doing. Last car in this first pack is the Boardwalks Subs number 1 machine of Tanner Tallarico. Of course, this car painted up very similarly to his real life Berlin street stock. That thing almost identical. Of course, some stuff just minor off, but that paint scheme almost dead on. As that is Tanner, one of Tanner's, side projects. A lot of the admins have picked it up. I know I've tried my hand at it, haven't done a great job, but compared to, Tim Rogers painting his own cars, Andrew Payne, and of course Tanner Tallarico with QuickTime Motorsports Media, those guys do a heck of a rap. So I don't think the 9 machine of Dane Lloyd is too heavily damaged. We see him in this pack here. Has that car, it has all 4 fenders on that thing and keeping up with other cars. So Lloyd's night not over from that most recent yellow. He finds himself just outside the top 10 at the moment as he gets a little sideways off of turn number 4. And that's something these drivers gonna have to keep in mind as the handling starts to fall on these race cars. I bet some of these guys, maybe like the Brandon Marlows, Clay Atwoods, Cade Galeys, are going to have to start lifting here to keep those race cars underneath them as these tires continue to wear. As the only car not down pit road here tonight at all is the 38 Pinkerton machine of Dave Payne. Payne on the tires he started with. Most of the field on tires that they took on lap number 16, so Payne at a disadvantage. The newest tires out there, of course, coming on lap 27 during that second yellow. And it looks like Tanner Tallarico now losing this first pack. Maybe he's saving, I don't know what he is doing. We're gonna now ride on board with Tallarico. We'll see if he's lifting or anything, or maybe he just found himself too far out of the draft. And then with these things being so draggy, once you lose that draft, it's pretty much game over. As one car in the wall up front, that's the 35 machine of Hayden Swank. Swank getting a piece of the wall there in 3 and 4. That car stepping out from him. I was just saying, folks, these drivers gonna have to be careful about this handling starting to go away. And Hayden Swank pancakes the wall pretty hard there in turns number 3 and 4. He has a little bit of right side damage. So Swank gonna have to now try and re-catch this front pack, as now pack number 2 right to the back bumper. Swank with a late move. That moves Tallarico all the way to the top side. Ron Hart just kisses the wall. Man, that could have been really bad if that was, a split second later. As whew. Pack number 3, Danny Venezuela by himself. John DeMeester does have help from the 41 machine. And then the Henson boys are kind of riding on out their own. Darrell Larson does get that number 5 machine back out on the speedway. He finds himself, though, 12 laps down at the moment, currently in 19th, so he's hoping for a wreck at some time. That takes out a good amount of cars to try and improve that position, as I don't believe we'll have 12 yellow flags to get him back on the lead lap. Hayden Swank now has fallen from that second position all the way back outside the top 10 in the 11th position, so that shows you how far these cars can fall if you get a piece of that wall. And that's exactly what happened to Swank, as now Tallarico leads this second group from 7th on back. Up front, Brian Wilderson holding the reins of this race over Brandon Marlowe in second, with Clay Atwood, another Hot Lap Heroes machine, in third. And I believe Cade Gailey is part of that crew. I have to double check my notes, and he is in fact in communication with their spotters, so Cade Gailey a part of that. So if it's, let's say, scenarios play on out, folks, and we go green to the end, I think there's a good chance we'll see a Hot Lap Hero machine in victory lane. That was my early pick when I was talking to these drivers and our series admin before we started the race. I said, I have a good feeling a Hot Lap Hero machine may park it in victory lane. They have a lot of cars on that team, and if they can work together, this could be their race. And I tell you what, they got 3 cars lined up in the top 5 at the moment. That is looking very strong for that team here. As that time by, the field completes lap 51 of our 80 scheduled distance. Everyone at the moment single filed on out. We're going to jump on board here with a driver that, like I said, we haven't seen him in this series for a long time. I believe he's made appearances back in the Sportsman days, but he's out here tonight. We jump on board with the 05 in the time and scoring, or the 43 on the car. It is Eric Lake, currently in the 3rd position in the second pack, and you can see how strong the draft is here. You hear Eric Lake playing with that throttle. You see these cars starting to move up the speedway. These cars getting harder and harder to hold that inside line. Now you see they're about a car length or 2 up from that red and white line. Just trying to make sure they don't lose the handling of these race cars. Don't put in too much wheel input and have that back end step on around on them like we saw with that 35 machine earlier. I believe our leader's about to encounter a little bit of lap traffic. It looks like they are catching the 18 and the 5, so this will put the 08 machine of Justin Henson 1 lap down as Darrell Larson gets a piece of the wall. That will slow him on down as the field comes barreling on up to the back bumper of that 18 machine. It looks like he will stay to the outside as almost contact, as, man, Brian Wilderson almost gets in the back bumper of that 018 machine. That couldn't have been any closer, folks. So already this green flag run, we have seen 2 near misses. And that's only going to ramp up here, folks, as we continue to click off the laps here. As these cars become more and more of a handful. Like I said before, folks, we got to wonder, how good are those tires on that 38 machine? Has not been to pit road once this whole race. So top 6 in this first pack, slowly but surely being caught by that second pack. They continue to click down the time. I want to say it's right around a 10th a lap if they are on it, let's say. And that lapper of the 018 machine gonna help them catch a little bit sooner as he makes that front line of cars a little bit longer here, folks. as we got a battle now for the race lead. Brandon Marlowe gets a nose to the inside of the 951 machine just as the second pack now catches this lead pack. It is a race up front, folks, as Tanner Tallarico jumps to this top side. Brandon Marlowe leads that lap here in this 37 Hot Lap Heroes machine. Brandon Marlowe also being sponsored by the 789 Designs. That is who wrapped that car, as we get another lap car of the 188 machine of Trent Henson. We'll have to see where he goes on through his play. Atwood has to get out of the throttle a lot through the corner. He loses a lot of ground to Marlowe. That will hurt that inside line, as Brian Wilderson will once again reclaim the race lead up top. Now trying to bring Deontay Hero with him, as it looks like the 118 machine will stay low at the moment. He'll duck it down on the apron, let this field go on by, as now this first field of 6 has now grown into 13, 14 cars here. The 118 machine does lose the lucky dog spot to the 18, as the 18 machine does stay in this draft. As up front now, Tanner Tallarico, first car on the top lane. He's looking for the race lead here, folks. He goes from leading that second pack with Ron Hart now to the race lead with 20 laps to go. Him and Ron Hart, some of the best to do it. These guys very fast. Now Wilderson will slide up in front of the 1-2 block. Wilderson will take over the top lane. That will leave Marlowe down low. But up on that top side, it seems very fast. The question is, does Wilderson go back to the bottom, or does he just keep on parking in front of the 1? That time by in 1 and 2, he stays up top. The question becomes what he does in 3 and 4. Wilderson will slide back to that middle line. Just take a little, give a little air to the 37, then slide back up to the top. He says, nope, spotter's telling me low, now high. Wilderson all over the track, just trying to make sure he stays out in front. He is blocking both lanes here. A little bit of fun fact from Brandon Marlowe. Like I said, 789 Designs wrap on that car. That thing always looking very sporty. He qualified for the 2022 VLR Gobbler. He's the 2-time infield tractor Super Series champion. 3rd place in the ASRC Big Block Series way back in the day. And then, of course, last season, runner-up in points to Trevor Mattingly in the ASRC Late Model Series. This season, Marlowe hoping to come away one spot better. They got the shotgun rule in effect, and that definitely throws a wrench in every plan, as Wilderson just kisses the wall off for turn number 2. These handling on these race cars going down the tube quickly here, as these cars a handful here in a hurry. Of course, favorite racing from Brandon Marlowe. He cuts his teeth on the dirt. That is his favorite type of racing, let's say. He says any dirt track, any dirt late model he loves to go watch. His favorite car track combo on the iRacing simulation is the dirt late models at Volusia. And then his most memorable iRacing moment is qualifying for that 2022 VLR Gobbler. As that's a little bit of some facts from the 37 machine. One car I got to ride on board with is the 8 machine of Kyle Munson. We see a lot of movement in the field, so we're going to ride on board with him, see what he is seeing in the number 8 Horizon machine. You can see out the windshield of the 8, all sorts of cars moving around it. I mean, look at that run down the front stretch. He closed up in a hurry to the back bumper of the 51 machine of Ron Hart. I mean, that just shows you, folks, how incredible the draft is here tonight and how quickly you can close up on people. But Brian Wilderson, he's looking like Dale Earnhardt Jr. out here, blocking both lanes and leading the way here in Atlanta. As we close in on the 10 lap to go mark, Wilderson continues to block both lanes and doing a great job at it, as he once again takes over the line from the 1 of Tanner Tallarico. Now Tallarico will go down to the inside line in front of Marlowe. It's going to be a drag race down the backstretch now for the race lead. As Marlowe's a little bit closer to the back bumper of the one. Ron Hart with a big run. He's going to give Wildison a shot going into turn number 3. Tanner Tallarico trying to block, but Wildison says, I'll take a note right out of your notebook. I'm going to go cross over you, bring it down to this inside line. Wildison now leads the inside line. Tallarico up top. These guys battling like it's 5 to go, but they know how important track position is. We saw it last weekend, let's say, in the real-life Talladega race. Very hard to pass and gain track position. That looks like the same thing here tonight as the handling of these race cars continues to fade. It's going to be a handful from here on out. It looks like Atwood gets a little squirrely off of turn number 4, hangs on to that 111 machine. Our spotlight driver, John DeMeester, doing what he can. He's currently in the 16th position, just riding around with the 41 and 04 machine. He's thinking there's going to be a late race yellow as our spotlight driver continues to keep all 4 fenders on that car completely unscathed here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Oh, 1 car down pit road. That is Dave Payne. Did he make it inside the cone? That was very close. Payne having to come down pit road and top on off of fuel, so Payne gonna be trapped a lap down. He's hoping for a yellow, as not coming down pit road definitely hurting the plans of the 38 machine. He was banking for a late race yellow, not getting it just yet, as Payne still down on pit road. Now Tallarico out in front, leading the way. Tallarico trying to be the first repeat winner of this season. Same with Wildison and Ron Hart behind him. The top 3 at the moment all have won once in this series. All of them trying to make themselves the first time repeat winner. We'll find out who can do it as we now close in on 10 laps to go here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The groove continues to move up on the racetrack, as you saw Wildison ran the middle, trying to side draft these race leaders, not let them get away, as now Wildison getting a big push from Brandon Marlowe. Now Ron Hart tries to block, not quite there enough. Ron Hart has to slide back in this top side as Wildison now will try and challenge Tallarico down the backstretch. We see 8 laps to go up front. Some more cars just kissing the wall just barely. We have the top 10 all in this pack. A little bit of contact off of turn number 4. Everyone keeps their P's and Q's, as that was definitely close between Hayden Swank and Eric Lake. Next group, Zach Rush, getting some help from the 018 machine of Justin Henson. Those guys in their own island. Then we bring the next group of 4 cars. It's got Lesher, Venezuela, Hero, and DeMeester, all hoping for a late race yellow to bring them back in this race. But up front, we see 6 laps to go. Tallarico, Hart, and Wildison all single filed on out. Kyle Munson, first car in this top lane, trying to make it work. Finally get some help, maybe not quite, as Eric Lake goes back to this inside line. That leaves Munson out to dry. As Munson continues to stay on this top side, not able to make anything happen. He's finding himself no friends here at the moment. As this time by, we see an open palm from the flagman. 5 laps to go here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. As Wildison wants this race lead back, he looks to the inside of Ron Hart. This moves Hart out to the outside by himself. Does anyone go with Hart? Does everyone ride together? As Tallarico shoots up to this top side, Wildison will go with him. Wildison, I think, has got to be licking his chops, waiting for a big run on the one machine of Tallarico. He looks to the top side. I think at this trial, I would have to believe Wildison goes down low, but not quite enough of a run, as we get a lap traffic of the 5 machine of Darrell Larson hanging out to this top side. Ron Hart slots all the way back to the 5th position, but does find some help with Eric Lake. Up front, Brandon Marlowe really wants to win. He knows he's got one of the best cars out here tonight. Same with Brian Wildison and Tanner Tallarico. These I want to say top 4 have been up front a lot tonight. And here comes Eric Lake to throw his hat in the mix. He's got a big run up top. Now he'll try and draft up to the back bumper of the 951 machine. We get a little bit of contact in 1 and 2 between the 37 and the 43. Down the backstretch, the field will come. We are in the closing stages. It's all take and no give from here on out, folks. Tanner Tallarico's going to have to block both lines to get this job done here, as we see popsicle sticks up in the air. 2 laps to go around Hotlanta. Tallarico luckily at least has one friend up front. That is Ron Hart in that inside lane being pushed by the 37 machine. Marlowe's hoping to give Hart a big shot. Now he'll go to the middle. He says, I got to make my own destiny. We go 3 wide here in turns number 3 and 4. As Marlowe gets a gap, he'll slap back down behind the 51 machine. Now Wilderson to the back bumper of Tallarico. We see the white flag here, folks. Next flag will end it. We'll be racing back to the line here as Tallarico will try his best to hold off this hard-charging field. Down the backstretch, the field will come for the final time. Tallarico in that bright yellow machine will lead the way. We'll try and block Wilderson. Wilderson trying to go any lane that Tallarico's not. 1 car sideways. I believe that was 118. Contact for the race lead as Wilderson slides up into Tallarico. More contact off the corner. Wilderson goes on around. Tallarico ends up winning this race. Kyle Munson comes home in second. Where did he come from? And Hayden Swank will come home third as they continue to wad up race cars. This damage bill is going to be very excessive as we get some cars rolling here. But Tanner Tallarico out in front wins this race, as we got to take a look one more time at this finish, at the start-finish line, as we can see the contact between Wilderson and Tallarico off a turn in turns number 3 and 4. Then off of turn number 4, Tallarico with a big-time side draft just gets the right rear of Wilderson. That sends him a little bit loose. That sends Marlowe down low. Same with Wilderson as Tallarico wins that one, as the rest of the field goes sliding on through the grass. As we go back to live here, folks, as Tanner Tallarico will burn it now down on the front stretch here, and he will make himself the first repeat winner of the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. As Kyle Munson with a great finish there, he will finish runner-up. Hayden Swank making himself known on these super speedways. Won at Daytona. Here tonight, coming home third, as we'll be right back on the other side from our commercial break to talk with our top 3. Don't go anywhere, folks. Alrighty, folks, we come back here down with our 3rd place finisher, that being the driver of the number 35 machine. That thing looks a little beat up here. We'll be talking with now Hayden Swank. Hayden, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet here in the booth.
Hey, Brett, what's going on?
Oh man, Hayden, that race seemed pretty intense. You had your up and downs tonight. I believe you got in the wall right around halfway point. That slided you on back. How'd you come away now by the end of it with a 3rd place finish?
Yeah. So, I was really happy riding behind Brian for the first part of that race, but unfortunately my monitor locked up on me and I couldn't see nothing for 5 seconds. Ended up in the wall. Luckily called a lifeline with that second pack and we were able to reel in the front pack, but was just never able to overcome the wheel damage and kind of like the tightness and the lack of track position. But overall, that was still an incredible race. I'm happy to walk out of here with something.
I got you. That's what happened. I wasn't sure if the handling was going away quickly on that 35 machine, but sounds like some more technical issues for you. Glad you got it figured out, though, in a hurry.
Definitely, yeah. Luckily, our night wasn't over. If it was at a mile and a half or somewhere like that, it probably would have been. But if there was a place for it to happen, I guess this was the place. But still a good race.
Yeah, that it was, Hayden. And we got to talk about those last couple laps. It seemed like some intense race, and then coming to the line, you probably saw all sorts of smoke in front of you. I mean, walk us through those last couple laps.
Yeah, those last few laps, I mean, it was truly a scramble. It was just a matter of like 50-50s every time. It was tough to see where the runs were generating, where the lines would form up, and you just hoped you picked right. I felt like I picked wrong more often than not, but still walked away in a pretty decent spot there at the end. But still just an incredible race.
Yeah, that it was. Only 2 yellow flags, only 4 cars really damaged from those. And I tell you what, Hayden, you're making your presence known on these super speedways with these next gen cars. You pick up the win at Daytona, now on the podium tonight. I mean, is super speedway racing some of your strong suit?
I really don't consider super speedway racing something that I am particularly good at. But in this next gen car, it's just kind of coming to me. We're catching all the right brakes and stuff. So definitely happy to end up at the front of what could be a great night for us, but also be a really bad night. So I'm glad it was the former and not the latter.
Yep, that is true. I'm sure you have Talladega circled on your calendar with these good super speedway races, and that, of course, coming in playoff time.
Yeah. As good as we have been, you can never be too confident going into these super speedways. They are, as unpredictable as they get, but still, we picked up a good track record and learned a lot through these first 2 super speedway races.
That you have, Hayden. Well, before we go and let you celebrate this 3rd place finish, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank on this 35 crew.
Yeah. Huge thanks to Epic Insurance Brokers and Consultants, and again, a huge shout out to the ASRC for putting on these shows. Between the Scrambler Series last week and this race tonight, the league's as good as it's ever been. We got some of the best drivers out here, and we put on some pretty awesome races. Unfortunately, I've been on the bottom step of the podium for both of them, so hopefully we can change that tomorrow night at Irwindale.
Yeah, hopefully that's going to be an awesome race on the inner track, and that thing eats tires. That's going to be a wild one. Hayden, you have yourself a great rest of the night, and I look forward to racing against you tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Have a good one.
Alrighty, folks, that does it for our 3rd place finisher. Hayden Swank finishes on the podium in 3rd. Now we head down to talk to our runner-up finisher, Kyle Munson, coming oh so close there at the end. Kyle, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, Kyle, how you doing? That was a crazy finish, and then, of course, got a little extra damage repair bill after the fact. Tell us a little bit about those kind of quick 80 laps here tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, wasn't it? I tell you what, man, we were just hanging out back pretty much all race, and then we had a good little pack chasing the lead pack down, and man, we were cruising on the top side there, trying to mow them down. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it seemed like Oh, go ahead.
Like the last probably 30 laps, I couldn't really even feel my hands. I was just gripping the wheel, death gripping it. So it was pretty nuts.
Oh man, we had Munson out there white knuckling this thing. I tell you what, you pick up the finish that you hoped for. Not quite the win, but a runner-up. You gotta be pretty happy with that. That game plan, hanging out in the back, then charging to the front, almost worked out perfectly for you here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was going to be a wreck fest. It really did. So that was the plan. Just try to hang out back and just avoid all the nonsense. But yeah, it stayed clean, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that it did. And Kyle, we got to talk about those last couple laps. I believe you're right around mid-pack by the white flag, but by the checkered, you're, I bet, hoping that Tanner got, a little bit slowed up more than he did, because you were coming with a big run up top.
Yeah, for sure. So I was basically I wanted to have the bottom just in case things went really sideways, and I'd have an extra strategy to kind of get around people. But if you're on the top side, you're kind of limited. You're stuck up against the wall. You don't really have anywhere to go.
Yeah, that is the case. But Kyle, you almost putting it together. Last time I believe we talked to you post race was all the way back in the day for your Red Season Series Championship. I mean, Kyle, these cars, of course, a lot different than those Xfinity cars. How you feeling in these things?
Well, I mean, they're quite a bit different, driving style of them and everything. So it's a lot to adapt to it. Cars are just so much different, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I've heard, that they are a lot different. No side force definitely comes into effect, but, once you get a hang of these things, I heard it's a lot of fun. And, Kyle, do you think we'll see you throughout the rest of the season? I know we got a lot of different tracks on the schedule from here on out.
I'm planning on running the full season now. So I was in another league, and then that fell through. So, yeah, I'm back committed to this.
Awesome stuff, Kyle. You're one of the people that can really be patient throughout a race. It seems like kind of run your own race through the middle, but by the end of it, it's like, where is this A car coming from? And that is the definition of you, as you seem to put it all together, Kyle. Before we let you go and celebrate this runner-up finish, why don't you I'll hand over the mic and let you thank who you got to thank for this number 8 machine.
I just appreciate everybody, tuning in to the stream. Obviously, you guys for for putting on the race, and you doing the commentating. So appreciate all that, and thanks to my sponsors for their support. So appreciate it.
Alrighty, awesome stuff, Kyle. Well, I hope we'll be talking to you some more in the future as that number 8 machine continues to get faster. Kyle, you have yourself a great rest of the night.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Alrighty, folks, that will do it for our runner-up finisher, Kyle Munson. Now we'll head down to Victory Lane and talk to the man of the hour. That is Tanner Tallarico in the number 1 machine. Tanner, do you got a copy of Spread the Jet in the booth?
Hey, Jet, what's going on?
Oh, man, not too much. Finally being able to catch my breath after a fairly quick 80 laps. I tell you what, that race flew on by. How'd it feel in the car?
Oh, that was incredible. Was just when you pulled me in here in the process of texting Brian and telling him how much I enjoyed that right there. That was incredible. I mean, I'm usually not a big fan of these play style tracks, especially Atlanta. If anybody ever asked me going into tonight whether I like this version of Atlanta or the old one more, I would say the old one all day. But this one certainly produced, that's for sure. But no, just first off, want to give a big, huge thanks to Brian and Ron. I mean, Ron and I, that whole second pack, we did everything we possibly could to reel in that lead pack there right towards the end, and just got there in time for like the last 10 laps or so. And yeah, that finish right there, those last like 5 laps, lots of respect given among everybody in the front, and that's what makes these races fun. So I just wanted to get that out there right off the bat. That was incredible.
Yeah, that was definitely an awesome race, Tanner. And yeah, tell us we'll go further before in the night. You qualify pretty well, and then it kind of seems like you get up front, you see it gets a little hairy, you pull the chutes, and then kind of ride in that second pack. Were you betting on some more yellows here tonight?
Yeah, so we were actually just talking about that in the waiting room, me and Kyle. We thought there was going to be a lot more cautions in there. I think we only ended up having 2 out of the whole 80 laps, so kind of caught a lot of us off guard. And honestly, there at the start, Ron is running for the Ironman points, so he wanted to kind of play it safe in a way and make sure that he got a good finish. So he asked if I would drop to the back with him and kind of be insurance in case he lost the pack or lost the draft or anything. So we pulled chutes and not coordinated or anything, but Hayden, I think, had the same idea. We all kind of fell back there at the same time and grouped up, and that was cool because we all, I think, had a good feel of what we needed to do, just the 3 of us, to maintain the pack and not lose it, but also stay safe. So yeah, we all fell back there and worked our way through the first 2 yellows and just kind of bided our time. And then yeah, right there, the last green flag run we had right in the beginning, can't remember exactly who it was, but I think we had a bit of a bottleneck going into 3. We all had to lift, and I lost the lead pack, and fell back to the second pack. And I think I was kind of the buffer car between the two that kind of offset, the car counts between the two of them. And I think the second pack just got a little bit bigger, so we were just running a little bit better lap times. But got to the front just in time to try to make a run at it. And Ron and I were pretty much committed to running the wall to try to make up time once we got there. And kind of worked out in a way, but once we got grouped up, I mean, it was pretty much every man for themselves from that point on. But like I said a minute ago, tons and tons of respect given up front. That's when these races get really fun, is when you can really juke and jive like that and not, get into the guys around you and create too much unnecessary chaos, but still put on a good show. And that was almost textbook the way that everybody behaved up front there at the end. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was some awesome racing. And yeah, like you said, Tanner, you and Wilderson putting on a show, you guys crossing over each other. As soon as you guys get a run on each other, it seemed like you guys were diving high and low on each other. And then the last couple laps, you guys lean on each other more coming to the line.
Yeah, it was definitely, I've come to notice with this next-gen car, really, whether it's here or Daytona or Talladega, any of the plate tracks where you're wide open, if you can get a line of cars kind of up against the wall, you can just create incredible straightaway speed, and that's really hard to beat. So you could probably tell everybody was kind of fighting to be up there. And, just whoever was leading that pack was kind of a sitting duck. But if the guy behind you was committed, obviously later into the race we got, that kind of went out the window. But if the guy behind you was committed, it was just super easy to defend. So we were all fighting for the top. We got to about 5 to go. And that was when the lid came off and everybody just started throwing, not really slide jobs, but you could go to the bottom if you timed it right. You could clear a guy just before he got off the corner, and then you could get to the top. And it was just a lot of that from about 10 laps to go to the checkered flag. And like I say, we came off a 2 on the white flag, and I knew I was a sitting duck. They were like 3 wide behind me, and I couldn't block all the lanes, so I started running all the lanes, everything I could, tried to run the top, tried to run the bottom, and just try to do something to make those guys second guess themselves. And we got going into 3, and I knew Brian was fully committed to the bottom, and I tried to slam the door on him, but I knew it was going to be too late. I didn't want to wreck anybody, so I peeled high, and Ron was out there, and he was just barely to my bumper, and Brian was coming up. Nobody was lifting. We were door to door to door all the way up the track. I don't know how we all got through the corner. I think we wrecked like 100 yards from the line or something like that, but just incredible racing to only have contact right there at the end. So like I said a minute ago, huge props to Brian. I love racing with Brian. I think this is like the second or third time we've had a barn burner between him and I like that in the last month or so. So big props to Brian, big props to Ron. Like I say, everybody that was up front and racing respectful there at the end. This is the product you get when you do those kinds of things.
Yeah, and it's a product of some really good racers. I tell you what, Tanner, some of the best racers on the sim out here in the American Sim Racing Club to put on that kind of race and to only have 2 yellers tonight with racing as close as it is. It doesn't get much better than that. But Tanner, before we let you go, that paint scheme looking very familiar, especially in the real life up at Berlin. That car looks almost identical. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this new paint scheme on tonight?
Yeah, we tried to get it as close as I could to the real life car. We've got a car that we race up at Berlin Raceway in Michigan, and this is pretty close to the paint scheme that we're running. We were running the hometown Sunoco colors for quite a while on the sim side of things, and Jay up there, I know he enjoys this stuff, but he told me, he said, hey, you don't got to do it every single race, like make sure you change it up from time to time. So I figured why not, try to keep the continuity going between real life and the sim life. So that's what we did, and got all the sim racing, or I should say real life sponsors on the sim racing side as well. You got Elif Brothers Roofing on the hood, Boardwalk Subs on the quarter panels, KRW Performance, Accurate Inspections, as I said a second ago, Jay at Hometown Sunoco, Luke Soil Products, the Hormel brands, or Hormel family of brands, and Mike's Custom Garage and Speed Shop. So got her tuned up, looking pretty good. Hopefully the sim racing success can transfer over into the real life success. That would be ideal, but I don't know if you're going to be able to replicate what we just had in real life. That's pretty crazy. But yep, either way, just appreciative of the way everybody raced there at the end, and hopefully we put on a good show.
Yeah, I tell you what, Tanner, that's some of the best sim racers out there. It's hard to reproduce that racing except for here at the American Sim Racing Club. Well, Tanner, you named all the sponsors on the car, but I'm going to go hand over the mic to you one last time here down in Victory Lane to thank who else you got to thank here before we let you go and celebrate.
Yeah, so obviously everybody on the car, Brett, I try to thank you as much as I can. I know you're a one-man show when you're doing these things, but you knock it out of the park every single time. So appreciate all you do, dude. As I said like 10 times now, everybody that was running up front at the end there, that was freaking amazing. And really everybody in this league, everybody in this series, you know, ASRC, we might not have the greatest you know, numbers every single night. We might only get 20 or 25 cars, but I can guarantee you week in and week out, you know, it's going to be competitive up front every single week. So everybody that's in the league, all the admins on the admin panel, just everybody across the board that makes this whole deal go around. I don't get to run these things quite as much as I used to anymore now that I'm on the admin side and got some other stuff going on, you know, outside of the sim. But whenever I can get in here and run with these guys, I'm just reminded of, you know, how lucky we are to have the group of guys that we got. So I'm not sure when I'm going to be back. Not sure when my next one's going to be. Probably not for a month or so, but hopefully when I come back, we can, you know, try to knock on the door of another one. That'd be amazing. But other than that, I'm good, Brett.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Tanner. I'm going to go let you continue celebrate down in victory lane. Tanner, you have yourself a great rest of the night.
Thanks, dude. You too. Thanks to everybody watching at home.
Alrighty, folks, that is Tanner Tallarico down in victory lane with the #1 Boardwalk submachine. He makes himself the first-time repeat winner of this season of the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. So, folks, we're going to head now down over to the results side, get everything all squared away, and send you guys on home on this Tuesday night. Tanner Tallarico in the #1 machine picks up the win. Kyle Munson in the 8 finishes in runner-up. Hayden Swank in the 35 machine finishes 3rd. Ron Hart in the 51 finishes in the 4th position. Rounding out the top 5, a great finish by this driver, making his first appearance in this season. It is Eric Lake in the X5. Cade Gailey, another great first-time appearance for him in this series. In the 27 machine, will finish in 6th. Brandon Marlowe, a very fast car, not the result he wanted. He finishes in the 7th position. 8th going to Clay Atwood in the 111. 9th, a heartbreaking way to end this one. Brian Wilderson looking very quick, just didn't have the luck once again out of Super Speedway. He finishes in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, he got the rebound of the night. Dane Lloyd involved in the final yellow of the night. He will round out the top 10 in the 9. Zach Rush in the 82 machine finishes 11th. 12th going to Kyle Leisure in the 41. 13th is Deontay Hura in the 00. The 04 machine of Danny Venezuela finishes 14th. And John DeMeester, our spotlight driver, rounds out the top 15. 16th goes to Justin Henson. 17th is Dave Payton. 18th is Trent Henson. Darrell Larson in the 5. 19th. 20th is Dev McDonald. 21st, Tim Rogers. And 22nd, rounding out tonight's starting field, is Jason Henson. Thanks again to all the live viewers in here sticking on late with me. I see we still got 8 people in here, so appreciate all you guys tuning on in here tonight for race number 7 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks for Watkins Glen on May 9th. You'll get to see these drivers whipping these cars around the road course. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth from Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to tune into Turn 3 throughout the week. We got all 3 of the American Sim Racing Club series throughout the week. Sunday night, of course, being the Pro Lates. Tuesday, this series, the Next Gen. And Wednesday nights, you see yours truly out on the track for our Scrambler series. Thanks again to all the live viewers and the replay viewers. And everyone stay safe, take it easy, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks. I've been Brett the Jet.